Chapter 2058: Knight's Human Body versus Demon's Shell. On the other side, the spirits of Chang Wan and others who were trapped in despair finally returned to their bodies. But at this moment they looked extremely haggard, like people who had lost their souls and suffered severe trauma. This is the power of the Drucker tribe. Today is the first time in their lives that they have truly experienced it. That is, a humanoid combat device of the Yihan tribe. Chang Wan recognized Ling's identity at a glance. Although the history of the Dragon Clan is not as long as that of the Yihan clan, as a race that was able to survive in the last century, they also retained a long history. Of course, there are records about the Yihan tribe, so Chang Wan knows what that is. I understand now. It was left over from the battle. Chang Wan was gasping for breath. At this moment, he could do nothing but pray that Ling's human body could defeat Mammon's body. The ones who were more shocked than him were Odin, Olive, and others. They stared at Ling in the distance. They were also very familiar with Ling, one of the 4 great knights of the Yihan tribe. Didn't they disappear? Why did they reappear in this place? Olibu quickly made the sign of the cross on his chest, and the excitement in his eyes was beyond anyone else's. In its later summary of the Fremon's incident, the Church of the Holy See identified the Yihan people as a legendary race of angels serving God. Oh no, to be exact, the name abroad is Angel. The Yihan tribe is the chosen one of the Creator, so Ling and the other 4 knights correspond to the 4 archangels who are said to be able to subdue the devil. Ling, in the mythology of the Junjing Church, is identified as the Archangel Michael from ancient times. Coincidentally, Michael is also Olive's code name. How could he not be excited? Praise God! You will always save us with your powerful hands when we are lost and in trouble. Olive's eyes were filled with tears of excitement, and he clasped his hands together and prayed devoutly. Ling raised the long sword high up and pulled it out of the scabbard with a clang. The bright sword light illuminated the sky into silver. Zhang Yi had to squint his eyes, unable to ignore this powerful force. Boom! Zhang Yi could not see clearly what was happening in front of him. Qi Weiling had already arrived in front of Mammon. The battle scene became blurry. The battle between the 2 super beings could not even be observed with the naked eye. I could only feel that the whole world seemed to be about to collapse because of Erqi's defeat. Boom! Boom! The fortress on top of Zhongshan Mountain and the mountain range built with giant bronze pillars collapsed one after another, and the dark waters of the weak water abyss began to flow back into the abyss. At one moment the sky was pitch black, so dark that one could not see one's hand in front of one's face. At another the sun was so bright that one could not open one's eyes. Everyone could do nothing at this moment, and could only pray and wait for the end of the battle. Boom! Prince Ji and the 3 sea beasts tried hard to maintain their balance in the waves, but the seawater was receding rapidly and was swallowed by a powerful force, rushing into the sealed abyss. It's the Sword Knight who is using the power of the seal here. Chang Wan said so. After calming down, he saw through the situation on the battlefield. Mammon has not fully recovered, but has only entered a special state. The Sword Knight is not his body, and his power is limited. In this case, with the help of the seal on Mammon here, the Sword Knight can gain the upper hand. We are saved.
Where is Zhang Yi?
He was standing in midair at this time, listening to the roar of the entire weak water abyss sinking, and the second gate had already opened behind him. If there is anything wrong with the situation on the scene, he will immediately hide in the void to avoid the crisis. Even though he knew that doing so was meaningless in front of the Drucker clan, he was still used to fighting under any circumstances. An unknown amount of time had passed, but in everyone's minds, it seemed like a century. The sky quickly turned dark and bright, as if dozens of days and nights had passed in an instant. They stayed like ants between the shaking heaven and earth, waiting for the final outcome of their fate. Finally, the world returned to peace. Everyone was already dazzled, and the scene of the world in front of them, displayed on their retina, actually felt a little unreal. But when they looked towards a battlefield, they were shocked to find that even though the Zhongshan Mountain in the sealed place was already in ruins, it had become even taller. The dark mountains rise into the clouds, reaching several thousand meters high. It's not that Zhongshan Mountain has grown taller, but that the entire Weakwater Abyss has dried up after this battle. Everything changes in just a moment. The huge body of Xuanwu was lying on the ground, rubbing its flippers somewhat unwillingly. There is no water. How can there be no water? It makes me feel uncomfortable. Before others could react, Zhang Yi leaped out. One stride covers a distance of 5 miles. He came to Zhongshan and watched the end of the battle. With the help of the seal inside Zhongshan Mountain and the weak water, Ling sealed Mammon into the abyss, and Zhongshan Mountain was filled with black seawater. This time, the power of the seal set up in ancient times has been fully exerted. But I can't hold out for too long, Zhang Yi murmured in a low voice. Mammon said that the so-called seal is also a form of energy. Everything that exists in the material world will be devoured by it. It is only a matter of time before the seal is broken. Zhang Yi clenched his fists. Although he could breathe a sigh of relief for the time being, once Mammon appeared in the world in a few decades at most, he would definitely come to find him. The crisis has been delayed, and a brief breathing space has been gained, but there will be no lasting peace. And Zhang Yi thought about the last words Mammon said to him before they left, and he became even more worried. The real threat is above the sky? What does the bottom mean? The meaning was unclear, and Zhang Yi was unable to think about it for a while. He swooped down. At this time, Ling had completely exhausted the last bit of her remaining energy and fell into a state of paralysis. Zhang Yi rushed down and picked her up from Zhongshan Mountain. Even though he knew it was just a shell, he still called out twice. Ling, are you okay? Sizzle, sizzle. Ling slowly opened her tightly closed eyes with great effort and responded in a mechanical voice. Energy exhausted in standby mode. Please recharge if you want to restart. Zhang Yi heaved a sigh of relief. As long as it was not damaged, it was fine. As for how to recharge it, he didn't know. After all, it was the highest technology of the second-generation race. After that, let Liu Karen study it carefully. This time the operation is completely over. Chapter 2059. This body is destined to be with the Holy See. The weak water abyss has disappeared, and a passage to leave this place has emerged from the deep sea. As long as they use the 3 giants and Xuanwu of the Deep Blue Kingdom, they can return to the outside world through the seabed. Zhang Yi said calmly to everyone. The story is over. Mammon is completely sealed. We can leave now. He put away Ling's human body and planned to let Xuanwu take them away through the cave under the sea. However, at this moment, a rapid shout was heard.
Wait.
Lord Chaos, please wait a moment. The voice was from Ochubu. Everyone had arrived in front of Zhongshan Mountain, but they were all one step slower than Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi turned his head and saw several teams of aliens standing at the foot of the mountain, surrounding him. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes. You guys, do you have anything else? Ao Chuanbu's voice was trembling as he pointed at Ling in Zhang Yi's arms and said excitedly. If I'm not mistaken, this is the person from the Yihan clan, the second generation of the Protoss, right? This is the Archangel Michael that our Junjing sect believes in the most. As soon as these words were spoken, Zhang Yi immediately understood what the other party was planning to do. All human beings witnessed with their own eyes how terrifying the power of the Yihan people was. Now that Zhang Yi has exposed her existence, it naturally aroused everyone's jealousy. Because compared with them, the ghost leaders they suppressed were simply worthless. Those who were originally feeling complacent about their own achievements suddenly felt extremely unbalanced. The Nordic god King Odin stared at Zhang Yi and said in a deep voice, I was wondering why someone like you would be indifferent when the resources of the ghost territory were just divided up. It turns out that you got the best. Zhang Yi raised his lips and smiled. But didn't you just say that? We have worked hard to get all these resources, and we will never give them to others. Don't forget, I saved your life just now. Why, you want to come over and negotiate terms with me now? These words did not have much impact on Ochubu and others. They are all representatives of major world powers, not children. Only children talk about right and wrong, while adults only care about benefits. If the benefits Zhang Yi obtained were just slightly more than theirs, then at most they would be a little jealous in their hearts, but they would not say anything. After all, Zhang Yi contributed the most to this sealing operation. However, the benefits Zhang Yi received far exceeded theirs. This made them unable to calm down. The human form of a knight of the Aihen tribe, once he can unleash his full strength, is enough to compete with a giant god Druk. She can even surpass the current theoretical limits of human beings and reach the Omega realm that only exists in imagination. After handing her over to Zhang Yi, who on this planet can stop Huashu Kingdom from dominating. So today, no matter what, they couldn't just sit there and watch Zhang Yi take Ling's human body away. On Pluto's side, the 5 personalities have already manifested. In the Colombian army, one person is equivalent to 5 bishop-level aliens. His appearance brings extremely strong pressure to others. Sharon, the symbol of wisdom and rationality, walked forward with a smile and said to Zhang Yi, "Lord Chaos, we are not after the spoils you got. It's just that this thing you got is related to the life and death of the entire human race. For the sake of all mankind, shouldn't it be managed by all of us together?" Karen's eyes also became hot. As long as we can develop her potential and unite all the strength of mankind, this will be our biggest trump card. At that time, any disaster crisis, any invasion of underground races, will no longer be a problem. Sharon spoke with great righteousness, but Zhang Yi just smiled coldly. Snap, snap, snap. The sound of applause rang out, and Saladin and Xuanwu also rushed over here. Saladin clapped his hands slowly, sneered and scolded. "You guys speak in high-sounding terms, but what do you really think? Do you really think others are fools? Haha, I think it's best to keep this thing in the hands of Lord Chaos. After all, he made the greatest contribution to this operation. If it weren't for him, all of us would have died here. So, I, Saladin, represent the Khotun Empire and stand on the side of Lord Chaos." Saladin came directly to Zhang Yi's side and gave him a reassuring look. At the same time, he used the smart system to send a separate message to Zhang Yi. "Mr. Chaos, this is all a trap set by Olib. The Junjing Church has long known about your father, Ernabel, and wants to eliminate you. Don't worry, I and the Tong organization will definitely stand behind you." Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows and expressed reservations about Saladin's words. But nowadays, it's always a good thing to have more people standing by your side. In the distance, the seriously injured Chang Wan and the 3 giants of the Deep Blue Kingdom shook their heads when they saw that the 6th generation had begun to fall into internal strife again. What a troublesome race. Chang Wan was seriously injured at this time and could not continue fighting. The pain of having the soul almost pulled out of the body is hard for ordinary people to imagine. He must quickly follow the 3 giants back to the Deep Blue Kingdom and use the sun fruit for treatment. He said to Zhang Yi, the 6th generation of humans, "Chaos." He hesitated for a moment and called Zhang Yi's name, which showed his recognition of Zhang Yi. "You saved me this time. I will find a chance to repay you. But I will not get involved in the conflicts within your tribe." As he said this, he asked Prince Festival to lead them out of the sealed area through the underwater passage. Wang Ziji did not dare to disobey Chang Wan's words and immediately took him away. But before leaving, Wang Ziji still asked a question in his mind. "Sir Chang Wan, are we just going to leave them alone? Hun Dun just saved our lives. What if he is killed by other members of his own tribe?" Chang Wan suddenly sneered. "He was killed? Are you kidding me?" Wang Ziji, General Yu, and General Ming Hai were all stunned and looked at Chang Wan in confusion. But the strength he showed is indeed difficult to win under such circumstances. Chang Wan closed his eyes and recalled what happened in the world after the Light Gate. I don't know how he's going to do it, though. But he's a very smart guy. When he took out the human body of the Aihen clan guardian knight, he probably had already thought about what is happening now. Worried about him? Don't be ridiculous. He can kill everyone, including us, more than 100 times. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.